Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to today's edition of Prime on My Media Prime. Today we're going to be looking at the arrest and investigations going on in the United States of America on some Cameroonians who are, anyway, the U.S. citizens of Cameroonian origin who are involved in the ongoing socio-political tensions in Cameroon, precisely the southwest and northwest regions. Investigations have been opened. We have had an elaborate interview with Eric Tato, who said how he explained how FBI elements invaded his home. We also read a note from Chris Anu, who explained a similar situation where his house was raided by U.S. police. But we also know of the indictment of three Cameroonians recently out there, Mr. Chi Chenyi and Langmi and Claude were all indicted last week, and it has been making news. So today we're looking at what may have caused this new turn of events in the United States of America, knowing that this conflict has been ongoing for above 6 years today. Why now? It's also one of the questions we are seeking to answer with our panelists who are in the house. DrNick Ngwanyam is already seated with me. We're glad to have you, Doctor. You've been away for some time.
Yeah, thank you very much. I took a holiday, you know, and it's good sometimes to stay back and then observe what is going on. So when you come back, you are refreshed, and then you know what you're talking about because you have done some research. If you keep talking all the time, sometimes you're taken for granted. So yeah, I just stepped back a little bit, but we are back because, and what brought me back was because the topic of today is a particular topic, and you know, this topic marks the beginning of that change that I was saying is supposed to come. So what is going on now is going to be, is triggering the turning point for Cameroon, which will mature in 2023.
Okay, we also are in the company of Alex Nsah, who is fronting a political party, British Cameroon political movement. We are British Southern Cameroon political movement out. He's in Cameroon, though he lives in the UK. We're glad to have you, Alex.
Good morning, Mr. Leo. I can get you, although the line is a little bit faint, and I understand Paddy too is saying the same thing. And I understand you're introducing us, and it's a pleasure to be today on your program. And I want to greet there's Dr. Nick there. I've seen Paddy, and I cannot see the other members of the panel. And it's a great topic tonight, and I'm sure we'll try to share some knowledge on this, your platform. Thank you very much, and greetings to the beautiful people of the Cameroons.
We also are in the company of Paddy Asanga. Is going to be coming in through from Hamburg in Belgium. Good evening, Paddy. We're glad to have you once again.
Yes, good evening, Leo. Good evening to you, Alex Nsah, my good friend. We made that journey with when we were invited, cautioned by the Cardinal to me, who is one of the protagonists that has triggered the arrest of people right here. Good evening, DrNick Ngwanyam. And I'm very happy that I will be in the company of my friend Ambe, your consultant. I think we have got to where we wanted to get to. And when we are silent, know that there is a lot cooking in the background, and we are going to elucidate on that. I'm glad to be here to talk to my friend, Alex, who was one of my senior Bobans, DrNick Ngwanyam, a respectable Cameroonian, even though we don't agree politically. But I will not kidnap him and ask his family to pay ransom, or the university students to pay ransom. So this is where we are, and that's where we wanted to get to. It is not about the Cameroon Jacobinist government, but it is about the victims of the Ambazonian terrorism, and we have the Anglophone question is still pending. Thank you for having me, Leo. You're welcome.
We are also expecting the arrival into our studios of Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, who is a permanent consultant out here. He should be caught in heavy traffic coming to into Bonamu Sadi. Dr. Nick, I start the program with you. We hear of 3 indicted for involvement in violent crisis in Cameroon, conspiracy, including kidnapping Cameroonians, demanding ransoms from U.S. relatives to fund separatist militia groups in Cameroon. Did you see this coming?
Well, you know that we've been talking about this on this platform and many other platforms for a very long time now. And I kept saying that, you know, the people who are in government and the people who are in the Ambe camp, they should be very careful what they do, because the day of reckoning will come. And I think that day, the bells have started to go, and there will be no hiding place for anybody, be you either on the Ambe side or on the government side. If you have been committing crimes and if you've not respected the human rights, then you would pay for it. It's just but normal. You know, if you go by what is happening now, the attention is on the people who are in America, but don't forget that back in Cameroon, we have some people too in Cameroon on the government bench and in the Ambe bench who will have to answer. People think that because they're on the government bench, they'll get away with evil. No, if you even on the government bench, if you've been doing the wrong things, this is your time and you will pay. And probably before we get lost, let me say that there are 2 issues here. There is the fight for secession, which is not what the Americans are attacking. So you could go on with your fight for secession, but as long as you are not causing injury to others, that's okay. But as long as you leave that fight, or for the sake of you justify it as a self-defense, and then you cause the suffering and the death of others, then you have a case to answer there, and that's what we are talking about. And if you go through what a lot of people are saying on social media or on the papers, they try to trick people to think that America is against the Anglophones' emancipation. No, that's not it. Don't confuse people. Don't confuse people. And as long as you went after the Odeshi, the god of death, as long as you thought that God could not help you in the fight, as long as you use your human wisdom to do what you have done, as long as you misled other people and caused their death and suffering, directly or indirectly, this is the time to reckon. This is the time to pay for it. And I would say that, you know, the day I heard that the cardinal was kidnapped, I prayed, I wept, I cried. And in my prayer, I said, Father, God, if the kidnapping of the cardinal will bring peace to this nation, then that's the price that he had to pay. And it's sort of unfortunate that they kidnapped an old man like that, tortured him all night, and then I don't know whether they left him the next day or whatever, but he didn't drink, he didn't eat. They tortured him all night, and a few months afterward, he died. And so these guys, you triggered the death of the cardinal, whether you like it or not, and you've got a lot of blood on your hands. And when I was reading through the papers, I'm so surprised because, you know, Eric Tato, you say, he's telling you how the FBI harassed him for 6 hours. You are talking of the SBI harassing you for 6 hours, and those are people who respect the law. We are talking of an old man like the cardinal harassed for more than 24 hours. What do you make of that? Besides the other people whose hands have been garried and all whatnot, what do you make of that? So, you know, this is the thing. Normally, human wisdom teaches us that, tells us that when you feel that you are powerful and you are the one pointing the gun at other people, you could say anything, you can do anything and get away with it. But as the moment that the barrel of that gun is turned to face you, you start confessing, and this is the moment.
Okay. Meta Alex Lisinge, you are following up also on what is happening in the United States of America. Are you surprised, and did you see it coming? Like Dr. Nick, because I remember Dr. Nick has echoed that on this same platform for more than 10 times.
I'm not surprised at all. And there's a date that is very important that I always talk about this date. That's 12th to May 2017. By then, there was no so-called Amazonia. They were called Kuku. My name was included as the head of their legal department. And I made a video, I resigned. I did that, and I pointed out to them that these people are novices who are doing something, and what they are doing, I say, if you want to fight for change, you can do it the non-violent way. I did that. That was in 2017. And I've been preaching, the videos are there, and I'm sure Paddy will tell you this. People hated me then. That was 2017. And they said I was xenophobic, I was whatsoever. I told them that, look, there's something called war crime. I told them that lockdown is a war crime. Attacking, torturing civilians is a war crime. And there was a day I was live when these 11 Bakuri chiefs, they were abducted, Mola Banda was killed. I talk about it and I keep on insisting. The day Sakwe was killed, Florence Ayafo, Tiona Mata disappeared, Etambi in Mango, all those things I've been talking, the videos are there and the dates are there. Then I was the most hated person on social media because then the so-called Ambazonia was so popular then. So it was very difficult to criticize them. But I made my point because I know history, time will always absolve you. I've often said that those who follow the crowd do not go further than the crowd. And it's very important for us who are Anglophones. We believe that there's an Anglophone problem. But however, some people which we call them, some of us, that they are hijackers, they hijack a legitimate cause and it was something waiting to happen. I'm not surprised. But however, again, I should make it clear on your program, I cannot sit here and be happy that some people have been indicted or not, because I believe we could have avoided these things. You saw some good lawyers, somebody who was my lecturer like Professor Anyango. He was part of this group, and I believe some of them, they would have advised them that what they were doing is wrong. I often like protesting peacefully, and right back when I was still young in Cameroon, we used to protest about Anglophone problem. Mr. Bia was not harassing us. Mr. Bia was not sending the military on us. But when people took up arms, that was a different ball game. And again, it is clear that these people, what they did, what kidnapping is a crime in the United States. Funding people to kidnap Cameroonians. I've read the indictment, which is a charge. And I should also make it, I still believe again too, that people are innocent until proven guilty. So I will not sit here and rejoice. We would like justice to take its course. Because I've seen some Cameroon newspaper, they are already calling some of them that they are terrorists. At the moment, they are not terrorists. They have to scrutinize the evidence of the prosecutor. Then the defense lawyer have to present their case. We don't know. Sometimes in most countries, like in the United States, they will not allow us to be talking about this case because it could be prejudicial, because it could be unfair for the alleged culprit. So it's very important that I make this clear too, that at the end of the day, people have been killed, just like DrNick said. They kidnapped Cardinal Tumi. It was a disgrace. It was a shame. How do you kidnap this man, this priest? What has that got to do with your independence? I've often made this clear. If two factions, they are fighting, either the government and the so-called Ambazonia, it is clear that under the Geneva Convention, you should allow civilians to pass freely without touching them. Civilians, they are not part of your war. We keep on saying these things. People will come, they should be locked down. I've been telling them, lockdown is a war crime. And these people have not been listening. Again, I'm a little bit concerned, the people who have been charged. Most of them, I don't even know them. So I'm asking myself, I hope this is not a political trial, because we expected other names who have been there. But again, sometimes government do work with people called Ambazonians. Government do what they call intelligence. You might some of the people who have been talking over social media, chop people's hand, maybe they were working for the government. Every government do that, even in the Western world. They put intelligence service, they behave as if they are part of the so-called organization. And that's why the name that we are seeing is Claude Chi, Francis Cheney, Nestor Lagmi. I don't really know them. So we keep on asking ourselves, those people who are saying that they should chop people's hands, those people who are saying that they should attack the UN, an international organization. So I will take this indictment with a pinch of salt at the moment.
Okay, you take it with a pinch of salt. At the moment, I will read a little conspiracy, including kidnapping Cameroonians, demanding ransom from the U.S. relatives to fund a separatist militia groups in Cameroon. 3 defendants were arrested today and made their initial court appearances in connection with an indictment unsealed today, charging them for their roles in a conspiracy to provide material support or resources to a conspiracy to kidnap persons and use weapons of mass destruction in a foreign country. Now, how do we explain that this is coming 6 years after this whole tension started in Cameroon? Padi Asanga.
Leo, you want to understand that judiciary or international judiciary jurisdiction, things that involve countries that are very far apart, take a lot of time because they have to corroborate the laws and the conventions and see where there is a common ground. So you remember that after the Grand National Dialogue, we went to the United States of America and silenced Tapang Ivo until today. It was because I am living here. But to corroborate those information and get concrete evidence, it is a meticulous job. Contrary to my good friend, Maitre Alex Lisinge, who says we should take this indictment with a pinch of salt, I want to tell you one thing, Maitre Alex. We have a document that we sent to the FBI as far back as 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And the plaintiff in this case is neither the Cameroon government nor people who are on the ground. They are people like you and myself who are sitting here in the diaspora, and they have witness status. But there will be crown witnesses who come from the ground, and they will be given under the Witness Protection Act. They will be testifying in front of those people who are sitting here in the diaspora. So I want to evacuate that question once and for all, that the plaintiff in this case, it is not a political trial. Contrary to what many people are saying, this is a straight matter with those who were smuggling arms and those who are kidnapping. They are all violating American laws. In the case of those who were smuggling arms, let me make that dichotomy and plan the decoration for our conversation. Those who were smuggling arms, there are many of them who are not Americans. They were indicted because of smuggling arms. But in this case, these are Americans who are of Cameroonian origin. The 3 of them, they have American citizenship. They are running around with American passport. And when the cardinal, the chairman, and the fund of Nsah were kidnapped, they asked for ransom. And the people who paid for ransom are citizens of America. They gave them a mobile money number for them to put that money into it. And when they put that money, the name that came out was Langmi Nestor and Chingwe. So when you look at it from, and these people are the plaintiffs. We don't want to call the names of those people who are involved because we don't want their family to continue to be harassed.
Seemingly, we have an issue, connection issue with...
most of us who are of that school of thought, who thinks that justice should be served to whosoever has touched the cardinal, touched the fund of Nsah, touched our institutions, people who represent our institutions. I'm very happy. I'm saying that I'm very happy. They shall be indicted, and I will be pleased if they pay for their crimes. And many more indictments are coming. Let's have that discussion. I'm listening, Leo.
Okay. DrNick Ngwanyam, you are a politician and you have been following up this for some time now. when it comes up to the situation where people are indicted, it means that they have sufficient information, convincing information to be able to pick up persons?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. No one is just going to come to your door and pick you when they don't have enough information. And if by error they pick you and you know you are innocent, there's no big deal. Mm-hmm. You go there. I mean, the justice in America, I mean, it might not be as perfect because it's a human society, but you can swear that it's better than justice here. So if you are indicted in America and your hands are clean, you don't need to bother. You get off the hook. But if you have participated in it and you have shed the blood of a human being directly or indirectly, and you have pushed the cards in the wrong direction, knowingly or not, you will pay the price. So if you were doing something and you thought because you had American citizenship you could just go overboard and do just about anything, thinking that you'll get away with it, it doesn't work like that. And you know, I've been following up, you know, on social media, and there are some of the people who have been talking all along. Even with this indictment, they're still making some noise. I mean, it's understandable that, you know, they don't just want to give up; they want to make noise to show that, oh no, nothing is wrong and so on. But I tell you, those people, when they sleep, they're not having a sound sleep, and they're all suffering from gastritis now. And let me show you. If you were to go, there had been this call for draft, mm-hmm. yeah, collecting money and so on. This is the acid test. Let those leaders of the Ambazonia at this particular moment call the diaspora out there to show up again, gather in any hall, or use electronic means to transfer money, to buy arms, to send here, and find out how many will show up. That will be the acid test, and then you will know exactly what is happening, because the cards are turning around. In as much as the cards are turning around for the people who have been pushing the war on the other side, and the cards are also turning turning the wrong way for the people in government here who have been pushing for, you know, for the war and causing problems for people on the ground. It takes two to tango, and both sides will pay the price.
Both sides will pay the price. Metalex Lisinga, you live in the UK, and one would wonder what actually was animating, or the spirit that led most of these activities. We saw persons who came out boldly calling for money and doing so many things in the open on social media, and many were made to believe that whatsoever we are doing out of Cameroon, nobody was going to be investigated, nobody was going to be disturbed by this, either the UK, the US government, because there is so much tolerance, democracy, respect for the rights of persons. Are we now not caught in a trap that we never saw?
Usually, what I believe, most of the people who just jump the bandwagon, what really happened is they were very ignorant. If I had a choice to commit a crime in the Western world or in Cameroon, I would prefer Cameroon, because you could get away with it in Cameroon. It is quite clear that if you're committing a criminal offense in any Western country, you cannot get that free. It is quite what they were doing. It was just a matter of time, because I've seen a lot of people, I will quote some of them, they will say, America is not a shithole country. If America is not a shithole country, you cannot be collecting funds to kidnap people or to kill your own people. Because most of these people, they lost what I call a sense of purpose. Recently, what was happening in 2016, you have what we call the teachers, the lawyers, and the trade union. They had their grievances. If generally you want an Anglophone problem, you don't just come and say you're a leader for somebody else's organization. If I understand, for Ngodi Thinker who lives in London, he started Ambazonia. Normally, Ambazonia should be under the leadership of God. But people just came, they became leader. GoFundMe was there. I'm sure most of these people, they were motivated by money, and they were not thinking, because you cannot go into a country, you break the prison, release prisoners that you don't know for them to fight for you. I'll tell you on your program, it is clear. I have known you to some extent, Mr. Leo. I know Padi Asanga. To some extent, I know Dr. Nick has been talking. I watch him. If I want to do something, I will look at the people that I know. You don't just see people on social media. You don't know who are they, you don't know the people, their background, their lifestyle. Most of them, I see them, you say you're a leader of an Anglophone movement. I've made it clear to them, insofar as I disagree with the members of parliament, the CPDM in Cameroon, they have the mandate so far. And I believe, I've often told them, the way to solve this problem is a political way, is to do politics. Unfortunately, I believe most of these people, some of them, maybe they were ignorant, and as we say, the law does not respect ignorance. So if you commit an offense, you cannot say, I did not know. Anything you commit an offense, you must pay the price. I understand that. Those people who have kidnapped people, let me look somebody like Florence Ayafo, what happened to Florence Ayafo? I want those people to pay. But however, as a lawyer, on your program too, I must be fair that when people are being indicted or charged for an offense, they must be seen as presumed innocent. I won't come and sit here and be talking about speculation on your program. There are criminal procedures. They have investigated the matter. They have charged some people. There will be an initial hearing, discovery, plea bargain, pre-trial motion, and a trial. So I respect those things. That's why we have democracy. We cannot jump into conclusion that because there are evidence. Yes, there are evidence. And those evidence will be scrutinized. So I should make it clear on your program. And I should also make it on your program that most people who have been attacking, kidnapping for ransom, raping women and children have made it clear they are criminals. They are not fighting for Anglophone problem. If you're fighting for Anglophone problem, you will not attack your own people. Greed came in. Social media today, everybody just want to be a leader. What happened is that a Sangalong want to be general, when normally in life, you have to work hard. Some of us when we were young, we used to carry Barrister Edgard, we used to carry Anyangwe, Dr. Munzu, we used to walk behind them because we're younger people. But now, people become general for a day. It was like an entertainment. It was like fame. People have forgotten to live the life. I was shocked when I started seeing people's head being chopped off in the Cameroon, the country that I was born in. It's a disgrace, and that's a very sad part of our history. And one day we'll sit and look back and we'll regret that our country, we shouldn't have come to where we are. I understand we are angry. I understand people have differences, but we're all human beings. Why should some other people think they have a right to take arms? There's more Anglophones than more other Anglophones to fight for us. And again, why I'm not happy with the people, the diaspora, you want to fight war and you sit in your house abroad with your family, your children are going to school, then you say you are a war leader. You're not a war leader, you are a coward. If you want to fight that war, you would have come on the ground in Cameroon and fight that war. What you have done to Cameroon, it will take time for the people to hear. Why? When you start chopping off people's head, when people start collecting ransom, it's a very lucrative business. And if you're fighting for your people, genuinely, you won't ask money. Unfortunately, it's a business. People are generous. They have millions of money. And to be honest, any person, whoever, will be found guilty in connection to what's going on. I will not feel sorry for you because you're not going to bring Florence Ayafo back. We don't know if you precipitated the death of Cardinal Tumi. There is currently a fund of Bambala somewhere for more than how many days today. And you cannot be disturbing those people. Those people, you can do them what you want. They don't run this country. They are not powerful. So why are you doing that? You cannot hold the fund of Bambala and say, Mr. Bia, or release other people. They don't care. That man is a local man. Frundi too was attacked. If you are not happy with Frundi, what you need to do, take Frundi's place and do the politics and say, go and rest in Tarikum. You cannot be making your own people to run away from Northwest and Southwest and they are living in Yaoundé or whatsoever. You are sending your people away. Most schools have been destroyed in our area. People have good school now in Yaoundé. we, the Anglophone, those who have taken up arms, you have pushed us backwards rather than us to progress. And I presume they should understand that you can bring change without using a bullet. Okay. I will read this from Alan, who is watching us from Rwanda. He says, Ambazonians want to use pity parties to lure people into supporting them. The day they touched the cardinal and the monumental font of Nsah, I knew it was the end of them. Okay. Also, the difference between indictment and arrest is that when a person is indicted, they are given formal notice. That is, it is believed that they committed a crime. The indictment contains the basic information that informs the person of the charges against them. But with an arrest, it can be just to check if a person is actually concerned with a crime. Now, arrests can be made without enough information, and those arrested are presumed innocent, whereas with indictment, they are presumed guilty. This is the perfect difference. Those arrested are presumed innocent, while those indicted are presumed guilty. Okay, thank you very much, Counsel, for those informations, also helping in educating our public for tonight's edition of the program. Paddy Asanga, I want to understand that, let's take a look at this video of the fun on Nsah.
Today, so I will be in our last day for the earth, or if it be at end time from now. You return back for village, as we go back for village, this time for election. So we go now for go reconcile with our people for village. But you say,
yes, there is also one such video of the cardinal who was also questioned the day he was taken. Ella, if you can trace that video of the cardinal who was also kidnapped on his way to Nsah land. Paddy Asanga, now, was it ignorance that made brothers to do what they did? That is, when you put that out, you take the phone and you do it. What could have caused this? We also have information. We have videos where persons are calling for citizens of different nations to be taken.
Leo, please, I want to be very frank. You know, the peculiarity about what I do is that all those protagonists, be it the Fon of Nsah, the Cardinal, Dr. Monzo, Chairman Frundi, they are my allies. They are people who believe in one Cameroon, but not in a Jacobinist Cameroon. They had a plan, and let me be honest to you guys, when this thing started, we met with them, and their plan was to destroy every institution. Thus, you saw how they went forward and disrespected, desecrated, and this Fon of Nsah, they even killed two of the princes. So, when I look at that video, I am very, very angry. I don't know why you put up that video here, because me, I'm of a person, I get very angry when our tradition is desecrated. And this is the same Fon of Nsah who was here about a month ago, and we went and were searching for Nsah, which was taken from us from the German. And these people call themselves Ambazonia, with visual boundaries created by white boys after the Germans were defeated. So it was a deliberate plan, cooked up, because they knew that the Fon of Nsah and kidnapping the Fon of Nsah, humiliating him, kidnapping a Chairman Frundi, humiliating him, kidnapping the Cardinal, humiliating him, kidnapping the Fon of Bambalang, humiliating him, was going to demoralize the people and give them some kind of authority and create fear, because these are well-respected institutions. These are well-planned acts and cooked up by people like Anyangwe that I have no respect for, because these are plans of this man who calls himself Professor Anyangwe, but he doesn't come and speak. He only sits behind and do such things. Go about blackmail people like Dr. Monzo and lie to Cameroonians that Dr. Monzo got his job at the United Nations because he was co-opted by Cameroon. It is a lie. I have my junior brother who is serving in the United Nations in Central Africa because he started as a volunteer like Dr. Simon Monzo. So people like Anyangwe, they are the brainchild of this madness that we have ourselves today. But let me say something here. Their indictment was by a grand jury. It was not, the good thing about the American justice system is that before you get to indictment, there is a culpable or reasonable danger that you have violated American laws. Look at it. And in most cases, you come out in that thing with some stigmas. You will not behave the way you behave, even if you go there and by some means you manage to navigate yourself. Do you think that Lami Nestor will come again and say, go and kidnap people, will kill you, will cut your head, go and kidnap the cardinal, all funds and all chiefdom, all political parties have been banned? Do you think that those clowns will come and say those things again? No. And that is why I am very, very happy. And I will be part of the witness. And I will be the witness with the face. The other people, they will face the trial, like those who, they'll come as witnesses, like those who went to the International Court of Justice and their faces were protected. They will testify against them, and those are witnesses, credible witnesses on the ground that will show the correlation with people like Tapang Ivor, Ayabacho Lucas, Mark Barata. Mark Barata's case is still coming. We are not talking about it. And I've said that if we are not speaking, know that something is cooking. And I want to congratulate persons like Maitre Alex when we started fighting this thing in 2017 on the alternative rhetoric platform. Nobody believed us. We were just two talking heads, and they were coming to shallow us down or to drown us, but it never worked. So the point I want to make here is this. Anglophones have two problems. The Anglophones problem has nothing to do with kidnapping for ransom. Those people are talking for themselves. Ambazonians are Anglophones, but Anglophones are not Ambazonians. And you can identify Ambazonians. There are about 3,000 of them who have donated to them in their website. And those 3,000, they can create a prison for them, lock them up, and throw the key in the valley or in the sea. It's okay. And they will continue living. But we'll still fight for the Anglophone problem. That's what I'm saying. I'm very hard, and people will not like what I'm saying, but that's where I stand for, and that's.
I want to come back to Maitre Alex. Maitre Alex, you are a lawyer. When we say people are indicted, yes, when we say people were indicted or have been indicted, what are we talking about here?
Yes, thank you for bringing this to me. It was very important because I was supposed to come to talk about this. And I understand somebody made a comment, a caller, and said that indictment means you're presumed guilty. Arrest means you're presumed innocent. Indictment simply means, in another word, charge. In all criminal matter, they must charge you. And again, I must make it clear, when they are investigating something in a criminal procedure or matter at a police station, you must be cautioned, you must be arrested. It's a procedure. They must do it. Caution, you're not if you're not cautioned or you're not arrested at the police station, sometimes you go involuntarily, but most often they arrest you, then they caution you, then they start asking questions, they investigate you. When the police, they have sufficient evidence, they will indict you or they will charge you. Indictment simply means charge. So it doesn't mean when they say indictment means you're guilty. No, it means you have been charged. You are not guilty. You are still innocent until proven guilty. They cannot have a trial without indicting you or charging you. So you are still innocent. The reason why we have this procedure is because they want a fair hearing. A state or a government cannot just arrest you, try you like that. They need a defense lawyer so that they have to put the case. It's up to the state, the prosecutor, to prove their case. You can arrest me, take me to court, and I got no comment until the end of the case. I don't need to say anything. It is your case. It is the prosecutor. It is the district attorney in the American court system. They have to prove the case. The defendant does not need to prove the case. So we should make this clear. They are still innocent until proven guilty at the end of the trial.
Okay, until proven guilty. But before we get to the point of indictment or charge, like you are saying, it means that sufficient information has been gathered before you are charged?
Normally, before the prosecutor and the police, they charge you. This is the word they will use. We have sufficient evidence to charge you. But you know, at the end of the trial, it's up to the jury, if it's a jury system, to say this person is guilty or not. It doesn't mean because the prosecutor says there is sufficient evidence. It doesn't mean if they go on trial, they will succeed. And again, at the same time, they can have sufficient evidence. The alleged defendant, they can plead guilty in advance before the case goes to an end. They can see the evidence. They could be advised by their lawyer. There is overwhelming evidence, and they can plead guilty. And sometimes when you plead guilty in advance, what they call in America, you can negotiate. If they were supposed to give you 10 years, you do a plea bargain, they might end up giving you maybe 5 years. So those things happen.
Is there? Okay, I want us to take a listen and watch the cardinal go through an interrogating, I don't know whether it was a trial or a process.
Good morning, the Lordship Cardinal.
Thank you.
Yeah, today is the 6th of November 2020. Yeah. Yes, I feel that. How are you doing now?
Not badly.
That people.
Okay.
Although I've not eaten since yesterday.
Okay, no
but
problem.
I feel it.
Okay. I hope that we did not arrest you nor kidnap you.
I don't think so.
We were on our checkpoint because we need to know who is entering our land and who is going out of our land.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, we met you without informing us that you are coming to our territory. So
no, I was not coming to your territory. I was passing through.
Okay, yeah. So it's always our duty to always be on routine checking,
yes,
to see that our territory is safe.
That's a good thing.
Okay, we didn't arrest you, no, we kidnap you. We pull you out for questioning. All right? We pull you out for questioning, and we have questioned you. Is it okay?
I'm perfectly all right, and I would like you to publish the results of the questioning.
Okay, and we have not.
That would be another way of informing the government of what is happening.
Okay, we have not taken you any ransom. Have we taken any money or anything for your release?
Not a coin.
Okay, so you will be going back to the message that we have given you, and you know the message as we have conversed.
Yes.
So you as a great figure in this southern Cameroon, that we believe, we have an allegation about you that you are the one that are creating problem with our territory. First, the fighters that are on the ground, the Amazonian Restoration Forces, that you have the routine of helping them to lay down their arms to the DDR.
All of us are fighting for peace.
So
even you.
When we heard of that, and when we saw you on our checkpoint, we had the opportunity to discuss with you for that. But what we are saying that we cannot here prove that you are not doing that. That is what we believe that you are doing. But you are now free to go and let the Republic know that we will never lay arms till our freedoms come. We will never lay arms till our freedoms come, because we are fighting for our rights. We are not rebels. We are not barbaric, as the Republic say. We are fighting for our rights as a people. So,
I'm not a member of the. I'm a Cameroonian citizen like you, but I'm not part of the government. I'm totally independent of what I say. I'm not the mouthpiece of the government, because I'm not employed by the government. When I speak like a pastor, and that I can never stop doing. If I stop doing that, I will not be faithful to God, the Almighty.
okay.
If you have done wrong, I will tell you who have done wrong. If the government, the Republic has done wrong, I will say they have done wrong.
And again, another allegation about you is about federation. That is our allegation. That's the allegation I've heard, that you are fighting for federation. But I am not saying that you should talk for away, but this is what we are the one fighting.
You are right.
Okay, we are the one fighting. We are not fighting for federation, nor any special status, because we believe that we are a country in 1961, that we all know.
That's your freedom.
Okay, now we are fighting for freedom. Then you know that all our boys that according to the allegation, you have made them to lay down their arms. Many of them have been killed.
I don't know who are those. I don't know.
So from today, we just called you for questioning, and now you are free to go and tell the story to the Republic. Okay? May God be with you.
Point of correction. I will preach what is the truth, and pastoral conviction, biblical conviction. And for that, I will never, nobody has the right to tell me to preach the contrary, because I was called by God.
When we read through, we also note here that let me read through. Claude Nchi, 40 of Lee's Summit, Missouri, Francis Cheney, 49 of St. Paul, Minnesota, and Lara Nestor Langmi, 46 of Buffalo, New York, all of whom are U.S. citizens of Cameroonian origin, are charged in 4-count indictment returned under seal by a federal grand jury in Kansas City, Missouri, on November 18, 2022. The indictment was unsealed and made public today following the arrests and initial court appearances. The federal indictment alleges that Cheney, and Langmi have supported and raised funds for separatist fighters in Cameroon since January 1st, 2018. As alleged, they each held senior level positions within an organization that supported and directed the militant separatist group known as the Ambazonian Restoration Forces and other separatist fighters in Cameroon's northwest region. Cheney and Langmi allegedly solicited and raised funds for equipment, supplies, weapons, and explosive materials to be used in attacks against Cameroonian government personnel, security, and property, along with other civilians believed to be enabling the government. These funds were raised through online chat applications and payment platforms from individuals located in the United States and abroad. But according, there is a section that also talks about what happened to the cardinal. Yes, I'm sure it is somewhere there. Okay. According to the indictment, the defendants authored a document that included a list of expenditures related to improvised explosive devices, firearms, and ammunition. Other expenditures included funds related to the kidnapping of Cardinal Christian Tumi and of a Cameroonian traditional leader named same Binglo II on November the 5th, 2022. Yes, you just watched that. How can we justify the taking of Kanatumi? And was it an interrogation? He was just pulled out for questioning?
Well, you know, every organization has got its own vocabulary and language. That is their own definition of the words. But all we know is that the cardinal was kidnapped. He was taken against his will to some unknown place to him, and he didn't have, I mean, he stayed the whole night without a blanket, an old man with respiratory problems, and he didn't have a good bed to sleep on, no blanket, nothing, and he didn't eat, and he suffered for probably more than 24 hours. And the torture was more than enough, and that precipitated his death. He was sick after he came back from there, and he ended up dying in very horrible conditions. That's what we know. And of course, you also know that the Archbishop of Bamenda, Colinius Nsah, was also kidnapped, and I think a couple of priests and other people have been taken, pastors and other men of God. So what we are saying is, yes, you have a right to be, to ask for your independence, or to ask for whatever you want to, but other persons do have the right to express themselves. You know, you force people to give money for a war, but before you started the war, you didn't ask them whether they were going to be part of your war draft, and therefore you push people to the wall against their will. You kill them. You make them suffer. That's what we are talking about here. That human rights abuse is the case. Is what is on the table. Asked for the rights of West Cameroonians or Southern Cameroonians, of Ambazonians, to have a right to self-determination or some form of independence or whatever. That's a different story. But the story, or what is hurting everybody, is the fact that, you know, children, women, men, adults are put under such stress, going from torture to death, you know, and people think that, you know, it's but okay to do that. It's not okay. And so we've come to the time of reckoning, because the Bible says that what you sow is what you will reap. And therefore, people should not be surprised that if you sow violence, you end up with a tornado. So this is what we are facing. Like many people have said, the Anglophones had a very genuine case, and they still have a genuine case. But the whole process was hijacked by some people who were taken over by ego, you know, to just you know, say whatever they wanted to, and ask that people be molested in all forms, in all manner of ways, without even giving it a second thought. And now the barrel of the gun, in quotes, has been turned around so that people can also look down that barrel of the gun and find out how comfortable it looks. That's all that is happening. And I think for people who didn't really have anything to do with it and are innocent, you will get off the hook. It's karma's law. If your hands are clean and you have nothing to worry about, then have a sound sleep. You will get off the hook. It's very easy, and there's no reason to be going to and fro. If you ask that people's hands be chopped, then probably you should get ready to tell what you mean by that and what you think should be done to you.
Now, according to the indictment, the defendants authored the document that included a list of expenditures related to improvised explosives devices, firearms, ammunition. Other expenditures included funds related to the kidnapping of Christian Tumi and of Cameroonian traditional leader named Sam Binglo. Metro Alex, how do we comprehend this, that kidnappings were taking place in Cameroon, coordinated from out of Cameroon in the United States of America?
What I will say, and I will repeat, I've said this again, it's about greed. At the current days in Cameroon today, it's very easy to give people money to do rubbish. I remember at the earlier stage when this problem started, he called me and said, oh, there are some guys in the border between Nigeria and Cameroon. Nobody is running them. They give them money, you can take over and become their boss. So these guys, to be honest, I don't like to use this word in quote. Some people who were staying idly, some of them illiterate, they just realized that they can just have names and become generalists. They did not take this matter so serious. So people start calling themselves General this, General Diamond, General No Pity, General this. They were not really serious. I cannot sit on this platform and I don't know Padi or Dr. Nick and I give them money to fight for our freedom. If you really, these guys, if they really believe in what they were talking about, they would have left the United States and come like Charles Taylor and start fighting. So I look at them and I knew most of them, they were opportunists. They have bettered their life. They traveled from one country to another, something that I'm sure, I don't remember the last time they took an aeroplane. But I could remember I took a plane from Tico Airport to Bali Airport when I was in primary school. Most of these people, they bettered their life. That's what they were doing. It was a fun fair why people were dying in the Cameroon. It's sad that sometimes before people make decisions, don't take anger to do something. And if there's somebody who could have been radicalized, I know sometimes Asanga says people have been radicalized. I don't buy that word radicalized. If people were being radicalized, I'm sure I would have been radicalized more than 30 years ago. But I understand in what I say in life, they call it small, small, catchy monkey. If there's a government in power, whether we like them or not, they are running the country. How do we change this country? It takes time. If you read that other history of other countries, ANC started in 1912, and it's in 1994 that they came to power. How many years? So long. Scottish National Party started in 1934. It took them 2015 to form a government. So in life, we were in that position that everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants something to happen now. But myself, like somebody, I was fortunate to study in Cameroon, study in Guaquele abroad. I know how they function, the government of the Cameroon functions. It doesn't work that way. But most people, they believe that the international community will come and give us the so-called independence. I have often made that clear. We, the people of Cameroon, we can bring that change, and change comes gradually. We might not see it in our lifetime. Other people will. So sometimes we should fight for other people. It is very simple. In Cameroon, if you are abroad, you give anybody as little as not up to 50,000 francs CFA. They can do what they want. Only in Cameroon, I've seen this happening in South Africa. You give somebody less than 500,000 francs CFA, they kill somebody. So sometimes it's poverty, I'm not justifying it. And sometimes it's about fame. But the sad thing is, this monster, I used to call it Frankenstein monster, is disturbing, is killing our own people, our own civilians. And I've been making this clear. I'm proactive. I'm not reactive. There are videos, I've been talking about this long ago. We were not up to 10 of us when we started talking about this in 2017. We started talking about it. And most people will be surprised that the person who started talking my country, it was me in 2017. The videos are there. But then people just look at it because the wind of change was about the so-called hijacker Ambazonia at the time. Yes, I'll keep on making for our audience. We Anglophone, we have a problem. And that Anglophone problem will be solved by including the CPDM, everybody. When you want to discard people like what they were telling Cardinal to me that you are a federation, we are fighting for our freedom. Listen, Anglophone is not a political party. I will never go against somebody who is a CPDM militant or SDF. I will argue with you based on political opinion. But if you want to impose by telling Cardinal to me, you're for federation, I'm against you, then you don't know what is freedom. Because even if they give you a referendum today, maybe if 50 people say yes, 51 say yes, 49 say yes, you have to respect the right of minority. That is what we don't understand. as we say we are fighting as Anglophone, we should understand that even somebody who is a minority of one, they still have right. If you believe in something, I often say, go to Yaoundé, leave our people alone. Our people, they must taste that peace and freedom rather than you going, attacking them. I can quote you history. People like Fidel Castro, when they were fighting, they were pleasing the population. They were making happy. To tell you, if you're in power today, you will be free. You have that freedom. You don't attack people that you claim you are fighting for. That was the mistake. And another mistake, most of the people who are back home, who were listening to the diaspora, they were desperate people, they were poor, they were unemployed, some of them ex-convict, so they have to fall into this. Money was there. It was all about money, money, money. And I'm happy that this thing is dying down so that the right brains, people of like minds should sit down and talk, because this social media war have clouded the Anglophone problem. It has delayed for us to look for a lasting solution. And I am happy that the social media war is dying down. And now we can focus to see how we can solve the Anglophone problem.
Now, these actions are taken by our brothers and sisters who have obtained the U.S. Citizenship. Were they unaware of the laws of the United States, or they thought the laws would not see them?
Yes, Leo, I don't know if that question is addressed to me.
Yes, go on.
But there is something that you have to know. These people operated under coded names, and they were speaking in our lingua franca, which is called Pidgin English. And most of them, they believed that they were under the radar, that the radar could not zoom on them. That's what they believed. And you want to understand that, as Maitre Alex just said, most of those people who have been arrested, and I like to use that word arrested, and indicted, because the other people were indicted, but they have not been arrested, but their passports have been taken away. People like the Mangang group, those who smuggle weapons with, how do you call him? St. Michael's and all those people. Their case is very, very different. They have been indicted. Their passports have been seized. They cannot move out of America. These people have been arrested, and they can only be released if they have lawyers who come for their plea bargain. The truth is this, the difficulties that we faced when we went to charge Tapang Ivor for claiming that those of us who came to the national dialogue went to prison and tried to share our stipends with the prisoners, were agents of Cameroon government, and we're working with Ambazonia, and we're working with a Cameroon agent, and they had given us, they should release us, they should give them the material, and all that propaganda, rhetoric. This is what happened. They thought that they were going to fight a war, a civil war, where they will put people out there who will be talking and claiming that, no, it is self-defense. Whereas they go behind and collect ransom family members. The case of Cardinal Tumi is just the tip of the iceberg. The case of the Fund of Nsah is just the tip of the iceberg. The case of Chairman Foot is just the tip of the iceberg. The real story is that you have people like, you call her Immaculate Kume, who told you whose brother was kidnapped, killed, and she still paid ransom, and she was part of that thing. Those are people who are involved in that thing. But you will not see their name there because they are under the witness. And when back to your question, those who are involved, they actually thought that they could navigate themselves like a criminal cartel and obtain independence in the name of Southern Cameroons. And you will ask me the question, so why is it that Eric Tato is not on the list? Mark Barretta is not on the list.
Yeah,
Chris Ano is not on the list.
Says
It's just a matter of
yeah, but he said his house was raided by FBI agents.
yes. He can say what he wants to say to prove tough. Chris Ano can say what he wants to say to prove tough. Remember, Leo, these people are a bunch of confused people. If you go as far as 2017, on the alternative rhetoric platform, Eric Tato came there. I was there with Metro Alex. Tapan came there. Capo Daniel came there. Franklin Vela. Remember the conversation I had with Ayaba, the conversation I had with Akwanga. When we were telling these people that that is the wrong route to go, they said they had boys, Oteshi, and they just needed fun, and they would supply to those people, and they have Otomokwo. That's what Ebenezer told me, that we'll get all of them Otomokwo people that would do things not believe. So they thought that this idea, this mystifying God-ordained struggle by Odeshi God was going to protect them. Okay. Unfortunately, for most Anglophones, the silent majority of Anglophones, they are where they are, and that's where we wanted to get them. So they were operating, thought that they could operate under the radar in a country that they think that that country provides them security. But what they forgot to know is that America is helping Cameroon to fight Boko Haram in the north. America is a partner with Cameroon on several fronts, economically, geopolitically, and strategically. It has to do with the Gulf of Guinea. When you embassy represented in America, and that America tells you that Tibo Nagy said it at one time, but they will not listen. Okay. America's integrity, the territorial integrity of Cameroon. And if you want to separate, there is nothing to finesse or.
Paddy Asanga, I'll be coming back to you, please. No. I still want us to understand the fact that this was going on in the United States of America by persons who have already obtained nationality, American nationality. Were they unaware of the laws of the land that actually restricted them from engaging in the things they were doing? Or they thought that they would be smarter than the law?
Thank you very much. I think I want to believe, if you go to America, there are two groups of Cameroonians in America.
Okay.
Those that have the American nationality and those that don't have. And if you were to do a study, I bet you will realize that those Cameroonians in the US or out there who don't have the nationalities of other countries, those ones, you know, they act with caution because they have only one country, and that is Cameroon. And then the other ones who had these nationalities of the other nations, you know, they were acting with impunity because they thought that democracy means you can just do anything and get away with it, and they thought, you know, you could just do about anything because America is a land of freedom. And so they didn't do their homework very well and took a lot of things for granted. And they forgot that the world is a global village. There's Interpol, and there's the conventions for the respect of human rights and all these things. They became oblivious to those things, and you know, the devil comes to deceive, to kill, and to destroy. They are not aware of those principles, how the devil works. The devil would feed you, you know, build you up and mount you, and you will look invincible. You think you are very strong, but when you want to fall, the crash is very, very dangerous. They didn't do their homework well, and if you're someone who knows God and believes in God, you would act differently. Number one, you will not even shed blood, and you don't want to cause violence. You know, yes, you have a problem, but you would go at God's pace, and He's going to show you how the problem will be solved. And, you know, there's this thing in the human character. There's ego and greed. You know, the ego and greed part of it kind of like consumed them like a wildfire. That's why you have up to 6 interim governments. First, they knocked off this guy who was going for federation, who is in prison now. I've just forgotten his name. Is the leader of
Ayub Tabe.
Ayub Tabe.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure Ayub Tabe ever stood for federation. He's insisting.
Anyway, whatever he stood for, but the people in America, they kind of like wrote him off, like they didn't want him because he was like kind of like in their way, and they started to juggle and fight for this recognition. I am the president. I am this and this. To the extent that today we have, I think there are 6. I think Chris Anno was the 6th president, right? Interim. So we have all these governments and all the confusion and so on. And even just amongst them, they cannot speak with one language. So all these things, where the devil comes in, where greed comes in, where ego comes in, there's no agreement, and you see a lot of violence, bloodshed, and the common good is not on the table, and that is where they went wrong. And like I said, they left the fight for the independence and or whatever they wanted, and then went for other things that have derailed the whole thing and have caused a lot of suffering amongst the very people that they want to protect. So it's a huge problem there.
A huge problem. Now, let us also understand the fact that persons are out of Cameroon.
Yeah.
And people are kidnapped here. When you get this indictment note, you are told that people are in the United States and are coordinating kidnap cases in Cameroon. For what? To raise money to buy weapons, or for what?
You see, like I said, war costs money. And the Bible says that when you want to go to war against somebody, first look at your resources, what you have, and find out whether you are able to do it. And at the beginning, they gave everybody the impression that the diaspora had so much money to be able to sponsor things. And along the line, I think they were not getting as much money coming in. And then they realized that kidnapping other people on the ground would be raising money. And this money was not just going for the war, they called it the war draft. It was not just going for buying the guns or whatever. They were also kind of like feeding on it. So it became a racket. And it is this phenomenon that we've mentioned before. It's called the docks of war phenomenon. The docks of war phenomenon set in and brought in all that confusion that we're seeing, to the extent that if you ask a lot of the people who are fighting the ground, what is it that you are fighting for? They might tell you, oh, we are fighting for our independence, but deep within them, they don't even know what they're talking about. They're fighting for bread.
They're fighting for bread. Now, Metalex, I want to stay with you. You live in the UK. Why would persons living out of Cameroon, UK, US, be involved in cases of kidnap, like we are getting from these documents? Because you said that before an indictment or charge is brought against you, it is based on sufficient information. Why would you coordinate a kidnap situation in Cameroon when you are out there working pounds and dollars?
Okay, yeah, to be honest, there is no one size fits all. A lot of people, because you are a Cameroonian abroad, it doesn't mean everybody have, it doesn't. Sorry?
Go on. We're listening.
Say it again, please.
No, just go on.
Yeah, I'm saying, to be honest, most of us, people left Cameroon for different reasons. Some people left for further their education. Some people left maybe as expatriate. Some people left because the economic situation in the Cameroon was tough. So some people, they left the country maybe because they were not willing to leave, taking into consideration that life was tough for them. So there's not like one size fits all, that all Cameroonians abroad, they have the same, they do the same thing. If you ask most today, people in the Cameroons, they think diaspora is made up of people who are fighting Anglophone crisis. I bet you that about 95% of Cameroonians who are living out of this country, They don't know them. They are tough people, big people, quiet people, entrepreneur. They have everything abroad, but they don't talk. Unfortunately to me, what is happening, I presume, a lot of people, some of them, not all of them, they are not happy. They are homesick. The best place on earth is where you were born, whether it's a village, whether it's whatever. Home is home. That's what President Diko says. And so for some time, I would say the government have not given that chance for people who left this country sometime to say, oh, let's come back to our country. President Amadou Ahidjo did that. He asked for people who were in the diaspora, gave them the opportunity to come back home for those who wanted to come back. And that's how most of our senior people, our parents and other people, that's why they came back. You cannot be seeing people floating out of your country, going to the Mediterranean, dying in the seas to go to another country. Let me tell you, I live in the UK, I live in London. Fine, there are good things there, like health facility, maybe the law or whatsoever. But at the end of the day, I would prefer to go and sleep in a rough place where I was born, because home is home. These are certain things, without making any excuse, that the government of the Cameroon should take into consideration. Today, when you talk about diaspora, it's as when you talk about diaspora today, it's as if diaspora means foreigner. And they only look at the good diaspora like Mr. Ngannou, who is a champion now. He's in the street of France. These are things our government should understand, that it's not always bread and butter out there. It doesn't matter. You can have a good job. Your home is home. It's not easy to leave your family and go to a foreign country, start new life or whatsoever. At the end of the day, we should try and see the way we can bring back our brothers and sisters who are out there. They can come and contribute in this country with our own people here. And again, I should say, the differences with the diaspora, there are different types of people. There are people out there abroad who are scammers. It was an opportunity to scam the people of the Cameroon. The Anglophone problem was hijacked. Scammers, they hijacked it. You can look at the people who are running it. People have so many traits. People diverted to become father, pastors, or evangelists. And immediately they realize, so creative have just come up. The Ambazonia crisis, they dive into it. You look at most of them, they are evangelists, they are father or what? Scammers, they took over something that was genuine. So I cannot give you a blanket information on the different people abroad, but I can say, we cannot sit and say like diaspora, all of us, we think the same way. Some people out of ignorance, they think, oh, America, Western country, they cannot throw you away. Britain was one of the first countries that charged a Cameroonian who went to the embassy and said that he was going to send a bomb there. He pleaded guilty. There was no trial. He spent, I'm sure, less than 2 years in prison in the United Kingdom. So these people, they don't know what they are doing. Sometimes when money is sweet, in the UK, they say, if you cannot serve the time in prison, don't commit the crime. So some people at times, their lifestyle changed. They started dressing well. They started traveling. So we say we are fighting what for Anglophone problem. Without calling somebody's name on this platform, I know people who say they are Ambazonian leaders. They were telling their friend behind, I'm fooling people, I'm chopping my money. So they were doing that. They knew inside their mind there will be no independence. And that's very deceitful. That's wickedness. That's callous. And I tell you, some of these people, although I'm soft, I live in London, I believe that sometimes whatever you do, like in the UK, we don't have death penalty. Sometimes when people do something, is to correct them. We believe prison is there to correct people, not to punish them for the rest of your life. So forgive me sometimes when I sit, I'm soft on people who have committed atrocities, like killing people, chopping people's head, kidnapping for ransom, raping our women and children. Sometimes I've lived sometimes in the UK, sometimes you look at people who are so evil, you try to reform them rather than condemning them for the rest of their life. Though I've developed that thought. So sometimes it's not that I'm sympathizing with criminals. It's just that sometimes when people go wrong, you give people the second chance. And hopefully, I will not be too hard on this your platform. What happened in South Africa, we saw it. Peace and Reconciliation Commission was created. People who committed the worst crime on earth put black people inside acid and dissolve their body. But at the end of the day, they came and they had peace and reconciliation. Today, South Africa is thriving in a democracy. Without much ado, I will still tell you that despite this evil that these people have done, despite the crimes that they have committed, I will still say the best way for Cameroon to move forward is to have a peace and reconciliation commission that will solve our problem and move forward as a country.
Okay. Have a rethink. Now, Paddy Asanga, the situation is as it is today. Others have been indicted. Investigations are ongoing, and this document I have here shows that defendants, well, these guys who have been indicted. I'm seeing another document which shows that I'm reliably informed that the 3 defendants accused in the case are working in conspiracy and collaboration with other U.S. residents. And some names have been mentioned on this document. Are we going to see more indictments, arrests in the future?
Yes, Leo, I will be very frank and I will be idea. You know, I am one of the first person who took the so-called Ambazonia. I mix up my words. My working language is German, so or Tapang Ivo to court. And I think that we can beat the Jacobinist system without doing the how they have gone. I strictly believe in it. Now, I would just tell you that more indictments will come up, not only in America, but in Europe, in Asia, in China, and in other countries, even in Nigeria. It's going to happen. So, and the thing is this, there is a document that many people have not taken into consideration. The court, the indictment document calls them terrorists, and every judge creates what you call a precedent, what you call a premise. And these people are running the danger that if they are sentenced and that sentence goes to appeal and doesn't proper, then everybody who's paid money to Ambazonia is a terrorist. And their names have been meticulously registered on a website. And today, as I can tell you, I have access to that website. There are about 3,500 of them. And can imagine that 3,500 people termed terrorists is nothing compared to 2 to 3 million, 4 million, 28 million people. So there is something that is cooking. I would not want to go into the details because I say it, I don't hide it. I don't like microstates. I am a Pan-Africanist. And if you want to create a microstate, then you win the people and then let them support you. But when you go around and you kidnap people, bury some alive, burn children in school, and you claim that you want to, you are doing that as revenge because the government did something. They are the government. We are not in the government. We don't have the controls. They are the only people who have that legitimate force. They have that legitimacy of violence. What happened when boy was killed? Dozens of people, black and white, came out. But the American system is still there. So if we want to change the system, we have to go a different route. And I'm telling you, more indictments are going to come, not only in America, because they are spread all over the world. It is a network, and I heard my able brother, my senior man, DrNick Ngwanyam, told you of Interpol. When we sit here and you don't see us active, know that we have to do certain things. not because we like the Cameroon government, but because we want a change of system and want a change of mentality. I would not live with anybody who thinks that because the cardinal thinks one Cameroon, because the Fond Nsah believes in one Cameroon, because SDF stands for one Cameroon in a federal structure, you have to go and kidnap the chairman, you have to go and bomb his house, throw a Molotov cocktail in his compound and all that type of things. No, that is not the type of democracy that we have learned, myself, you, DrNick Ngwanyam, and the majority or the silent majority of Anglophones who believe or not in one Cameroon think. So the indictments are going to come. It's a process. You know, they say they will fight, they were ready to fight for 30 years. But let me tell you something. There is no other country that is going to be created in the Gulf of Guinea. So they should program to fight for the rest of their life, because Cameroon has a premise that no other country in the world has. They left the Inegu parliament under a democratic system that they are claiming to protect. But you see the way they proclaim or the way they showcase their form of democracy, which is not comparable to anything. It is only comparable to the law, the jungle. So I'm happy that we are having this conversation, and I think that we should have a multitude of such conversations so that our people should be free and be able to belong to the SDF, to belong to Major Alexis Party, to belong to the progressive wing of whatsoever, and to belong to the opposition, and even tell people who are carrying guns that, please, I don't believe in arms, but please respect my opinion. And if you say you want to go and fight the military, go for the military, and then when you settle out with the military, come and ask me to pay the liberation tax. But don't come and put a gun in my head, kidnap my parents, take my cousins, and say you rape her. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Paddy. DrNick Ngwanyam. Let's look at the role that the international community has played this far. Met Alex is going to come into that also, but we saw these diplomats. There was this
Tibonagi.
There was Tibonagi, but there is also one other person who played around and kept talking. Did they mislead the popular opinion that the international community could react the way they are doing today?
I know I paid a lot of attention to what Ambassador Tibonagi was saying from day one.
Okay.
And at the time, I believed he was right. Down the road, I believed he was right. Until now, I'm 100% convinced that he was right in what he was doing. And he went out of his way to speak on the ABC television, you know, with Chris Anu and so on, to actually educate all Anglophones and all Cameroonians as to how the Anglophone problem should be solved. He was talking, and he would talk without reserve, talking to the Anglophone population, talking to the Anglophones in the diaspora, and also talking to our government as to the way forward. I would say that that man has a special love for Cameroon, but we treated him shabbily, we insulted him, and we told him off in very bitter terms. And I thought that was a huge mistake. And for those of you who don't know, Tibonagi was speaking on behalf of that international community, of the American government, and telling you where exactly we were and where we are heading to, what is possible and what is not possible. And if we are taken to his advice, we will not be in this shit where we are today. A lot of people will not have died. And I would also say that if the government of Cameroon had listened to what the Americans were saying, we'll all not be here. So, you know, the government put cotton in her ears, and the Anglophones over there, they put cotton in their ears, and everybody was doing just about whatever they wanted. And like I said, there's time for reckoning. And the international community and the International Court of Justice is there. And those government ministers and administrators who are responsible for escalating this, that's where they will be going. And then those in the diaspora that committed the problems out there, they have a beautiful court there, and the prisons are very clean, they're nice. But at the end of the day, you know, Cameroon is going to have peace, and it's coming in this 2023, and a lot of things will be corrected. I'm telling you, a lot of things will be corrected. Even before coming to the studio, I was meditating as to, on what went wrong. And you know, there's this book, I'm sure you must have read it, The 40 Principles of Power by the Prince or something like that. I don't know, I think it's something like that. And in there, they tell you the power structure in any country or any organization where Machiavellian principles works. The boss in our country will be the president. And then they talk about these people that they call the courtiers. These courtiers would be the ministers, the governors, and the prefects, to be killed or to suffer or push other people to
the international community interested in what is happening. And
when I look at the League of Nations, when I look at the United Nations, when I look at those people who created it, these are the people who did what? Enslave us, promoted apartheid, colonized us. These are the people who have created a club they call UN Security Council. They are what? 5 permanent members. These are the people who had their Cold War between Russia and themselves. So I have never been a fan. I've never been a fan of the international community because nobody cries more than the bereaved. Today, they saw Ireland, IRA, they used to bomb everywhere. America used to support them or whatsoever. But today, there is peace in Northern Ireland. I copy good things. In Catalonia, we used to have a solution for our problem in the Cameroons.
okay. Paddy Asanga, what should
front? Yannick Sikot was at the home front. A host of Ambe boys are at the home front. They are in the DDR. The victims are at the home front. What we have today
in danger, you start the big world gendarme says enough is enough, and then he puts fear already in the separatist group. It's just so unfortunate because this dialogue that we are going to have it would have happened, but watch my lips again, I said it and we all know it, that the major national dialogue that was supposed to be genuine was not genuine.
Okay.
And therefore that's why if there's anybody to blame, is to blame those that organized the major national dialogue, because they didn't do what was right, what was just, what was true and good, and now the suffering has continued. But you know, because we missed it, we have to go and correct.
And the panelists, I appreciate Dr. Nick for being the only CBD militant with a balanced head, but regret most of the Cameroonians' jubilation over the arrest of violent activities on ground.
Mr. Leo, repeat the question again. When you were asking the question, Paddy was talking simultaneously with you.
Okay, I'm saying that we still have videos of some of the leaders who are still talking very tough, still galvanizing their supporters that this is just a routine stuff that happens any day, and that nothing.
Please.
Paddy Asanga, why?
To be honest.
Paddy Asanga, why should you be
honest?
Yeah, but the question,
and they want the Anglophone problem to be redressed. And the point is, if you look since early in the 1990s, each time we call for a solution for our problems inside the Cameroon, the government always come like multipartism. They will give it to us. Then they make coffee, France CFA, monetary policy, interest rate. That is where France is making its money. So are they going to come and say, okay, let's dialogue? This France CFA that was created in France in 1945, we want to stop it. Dr. Nick, it will not happen for the next 50 years. We have serious issue. There will be no genuine dialogue tomorrow until thy kingdom come, until we start manufacturing our money, until we come out from France CFA. There will never be any dialogue, because there are people out there who are pulling this.
Not talking about France CFA here and the French new colonization and many of those things.
Crime. We are not a tribe. Take it to them, and then we'll sit there and say, okay, as Cameroonians, What are we going to do? What are the concessions? But for people to sit here in diaspora and aggrandize themselves, say all the things that they are saying, oh, we are going to fight the man last month. Who mandated them? Foolish people. Nonsense. I will never accept that, my man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leo. You are one of the finest in Anglophone journalism. I want you to bring them here. Let's have, I don't agree with Metro Alex on everything. I don't agree with Dr. Ngwanyam on everything. There are other people that I don't agree with them. I was expecting to see Gabilla Nubong here, but you guys have done it, my media prime. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Metro Alex, thank you too for coming today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be on your program today, and I will still stand. I understand criminals have done a lot of things, but to move forward, I believe we have people who do not agree with us. Insofar as alienated, and we even call Cameroon citizens who have naturalized outside, we call them that they are not Cameroonians, they are Cameroonians. Cameroon is made up of various tribes, and we have different tribes. You cannot take away my background from me. You cannot take somebody's, whether it's Bulu or Betty or whatsoever. Cameroon is Rio dos Cameros. It is our country, whether they naturalize or not. This Africa is their country, or their continent rather. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and also to you, Dr. Nick. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I would like to wish all the Cameroonians and those that are listening to us Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year coming down the road, and to say that, you know, if you are a child of God, believe what I'm telling you, and that Cameroon is going to be a different kind of a country come 2023. Let me show you some indicators. For those of you who are able to read between the lines, you would have realized that during the celebration of the 6th November this year, it was not like other years. You would have realized that there was not a lot of fanfare, there was not a lot of praise singing, there was not a lot of drinking and sharing of things and so on, because something changed. And that thing that is changed is because President Paul Biya realized that the courtiers around him were messing him up big time, and he switched the formula around. And he, President Paul Biya, is going to correct all those errors that we've been going through. Thank you very much, and be blessed.
We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Thank you to you, Eli and Desmond, for producing, Tabitha and Brian for supervising. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.